All right, welcome to What's Up with the News. Every day we'll read the news together on everything that's happening and all of the reports that have come out. And you and I will get to take a look at what's going on with the news. Now, before we get started, just to remind you, we have a membership going on YouTube right now. You can use that membership to support us. And basically to help us do our job better. Divyansh is the first one here today. Hey Divyansh, thank you for joining us. Do remember to, I know 7:30 today we weren't ready. There's a lot of stuff still happening and we were trying to sort of fit everything in. So we are a little late on the bell, but we're trying to sort of, so honestly what's happening is it's a new format. And I keep trying to put more things in it. And so we were not ready at 7 because I wanted to talk about one particular thing that has developed. And so my team and I were having this massive debate on which story was going to be the big story today. And that delayed us because at 7 o'clock, we changed our minds. Mayuresh is here as well. Hi, Mayuresh. Thanks for joining us. Quick reminder, please like this stream. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the bell icon, all of those things. And also, if you can, much appreciated if you would join our membership. It will support us financially as well. Tiruthima says, thanks for this info. Eager to know. Mayuresh says, hello. Hello, Mayuresh. We're going to wait for a couple of more people to join in and then we'll get to the news. And I'll tell you the two stories that I was debating with my team, right? So there are two massive things that have happened. One is the Election Commission has sent a notice to the BJP about the Prime Minister's speech in Rajasthan on Sunday without specifically mentioning either the Prime Minister or his speech. They sent an identical notice also to the Congress. And that is one of the major stories that we're going to look through. But the other story that I also want to look at is the United States has put out its human rights report for the year. And it's actually pulled up, mentioned India and Manipur for giant human rights violations. India has retorted saying that this holds absolutely no value. It's completely biased. And we'll take a look at that as well. And I liked the human rights story and I wanted to spend some time on that. My team felt the Election Commission story is what we should talk about. So here we are. We're talking about both of those stories and a bunch of other stories as well. Agnella Fernandez says, you're my role model. Oh, thank you so much. From Canada. Thank you, Agnella. Thanks for tuning. What time is it in Canada? You're up early. Divyansh, Congress notices on which instance? Good question. Okay, so let's get to it then. We've got about 129 people here. Like the stream, guys, it will pop up a little better on the YouTube algorithm. So let me take you through, first of all, the Election Commission notice. Now, I'm looking at the Hindustan Times, main lead story. We're going to share that on the screen. Let me see if I can do this correctly. There it is. So Narendra Modi repeats the first right claim, and he's basically saying that the India bloc is seeking to change the constitution and provide a religion-based reservation. And he basically says that, marginalized communities, with a reference to Muslims, he says, will be given first claim on resources. He was addressing a rally at Bareilly district. He said if this is the Prime Minister being quoted, two people in backward Dalit family work, they will take away the job of one and give it to those who have first right of the country's resources. So he's obviously referring to his own speech on Sunday, where he basically said that the Congress party will distribute people's gold and property to those who have more children, referring effectively to the Muslim community. He had, the Congress had called, but he had said hate speech. And that there it is, distributed to those who have first right, and he called them goosepates, and it was really wish I didn't have to repeat it so many times. The Election Commission has now issued a notice to the BJP President JP Nadda on the charge, and the opposition and several other people have written complaints to the Election Commission about that particular speech. And the poll panel has asked for JP Nadda's response by Monday on these complaints and forwarded the complaints to the BJP. So has not mentioned. And let me give you, a look at this complaint here. It's an Arvind Gurushekaran. He's a journalist. It's on his page. Let me just pop that up for you. There you are. Actually, we're sharing screen. It takes a little longer to open things. So this is what it says, and it's addressed to JP Nadda. And it says that, you grant effectively, so remember, every party gives star campaigner status to some of its campaigners. And if you see here, it basically says that we've received complaints about some of your star campaigners making speeches of alleged, you see where my cursor is? It says individual entities who and social organizations and political parties have made representations about violations of the model code of conduct during campaign by some of your star campaigners, whereas the speeches are alleged to be in violation of the model code of conduct. And it also says that the commission has taken a view that even though individual star campaigners remain responsible for what they're saying, it will address the party president on a case-to-case basis. So in this case, if you see here, it's addressed to JP Nadda and asked for a response before a certain time. Now, and I must point out, a very similar sort of, notice has also been sent to the Congress party's head, to Mallikarjun Kharge, and that is over here. Again, I'm still on Arvind Gurusekharan's, Twitter handle, Mallikarjun Kharge, about specific complaints being sent to the Election Commission about some star campaigners. So apparently, the complaints that were attached really were on Rahul Gandhi and Mr. Kharge himself. And effectively, they were about an instance where Rahul Gandhi apparently had pointed out, he had basically said that the President of India had not been invited to the Ram Mandir inauguration because she is from the scheduled tribe community. And the insinuation here is that that is not true, and hence it's in violation of the model code of conduct. Apart from other things, that's what we know so far. Just going back to the story that I was reading to you, remember, Election Commission has issued a notice to JP Nadda. Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge has written to the Prime Minister asking for time, saying that we will explain to you our entire manifesto, because you obviously don't seem to have understood it. So both of the parties have received notices, and both of the parties' notices they've been asked to sort of respond by Monday next, which is the 29th of April. Interestingly, though, so there's this whole debate on Twitter about why has the Election Commission chosen to send the notice this time to the heads of the parties and not to the individuals. So is the Election Commission afraid, for example, to send the notice to the Prime Minister himself? Now, on paper, the Election Commission has done this both with the Congress and the BJP. But in the past, it has sent notices to Supriya Shrinet, it has sent notices to individual members of the BJP, it has sent notices to other political party individuals. So it normally sends the notice to the person making the statement or making the speech. But in these two cases, the case of the Prime Minister and the case of Rahul Gandhi, it seems to have decided, as it says so, to send the notice only to the individual. And so, like I said, a lot of questions now popping up about, whether or not the Election Commission sort of is a little afraid of sending the notice directly to the Prime Minister. So it's interesting. So you can tell me what you think about whether this is just a new way of the Election Commission's functioning. Remember, the Model Code of Conduct is a model code. It's not a legally enforceable code. It's how people should behave. It's not the law. So it's up to the Election Commission to also sort of decide from within the Commission how it wants to deal with specific cases. Gaurav, thank you so much for becoming a supporter and for supporting us. I really appreciate it. So Divyansh, I hope that answers your question. We also have Peter George Stalin. We are very eager to know the actual facts and the outcomes of this notice. So 8 a.m. No, that's not too early. That's all right. Let me see who else we have here. We have Vishesh Iyer. We have Darshika. Hi, Shana. So interesting. So we sort of take a look, and we have till Monday to see how that response happens. In the meantime, the Prime Minister seems to be reiterating his stance on various things. Let me see others. So, like I said, so if we go back to that first story that I was telling you, the Prime Minister at this point, addressing that rally, has reiterated what he had said, which is basically that that the Congress party is intending to give all of the value effectively to the Muslims. And if you look at this fact check that the Hindustan Times has put out, it basically talks about, and we've done this that time as well, about the fact that Dr. Manmohan Singh, when he was the Prime Minister, talked about how, and this is the whole quote, right? Talked about how everybody, all of the oppressed classes, have a right to first right to resources, and not it was not just Muslims. He had basically talked about everybody else, and that was clarified as well. Looking at a couple of the other stories that have come up now, this is interesting. This is a YouTuber called Manish Kashyap, who has signed on with the BJP. He's joined the BJP. There you see BJP President JP Nadda. And the interesting thing about Manish Kashyap was that he actually went to jail for putting out false information, misleading information, and he's actually made a statement now. There if you see, he actually made a statement now that his mother, who had really helped him out when he was in jail, had suggested that he join the BJP, and that is why he had joined the BJP. So this is a person who has been accused and arrested for fake information and fake news, and he is at this point joining the BJP. Let's take a look at the latest that's coming in on the Indian Express at this point. This is the story that I wanted to talk to you guys about. Yeah. So this basically is the US Human Rights Report that comes out once a year. Now, the annual assessment of human rights report by the State Department of the US, and I've highlighted this, it highlights what it calls significant human rights abuses in Manipur, where the ethnic conflict broke out last year. It also mentions attacks on minorities, attacks on journalists, attacks on dissenting voices. It talks about specifically the income tax raid at the BBC office that also happened after they put out that documentary. And see, referring to the documentary, what the State Department of the US says that the government of India invoked emergency powers to ban the screening of the documentary and forced media companies to remove links to the video. And it, to remove links to the video as well. And you can see here, basically, but now India has responded to this. So this is the story that has developed this evening at about, 5:45, where India's External Affairs Ministry has said that this is a deeply biased report and it displays a poor understanding of India. But really, this is the quote. External Affairs spokesperson Ranveer Jaiswal has said, the report is deeply biased. It reflects a poor understanding of India. We attach no value to it, and we urge you to do the same. Right? So this is the statement that has come from the External Affairs spokesperson of this thing. So basically, what has happened here? There's another angle to this story about the U.S. State Department. The international press has questioned the U.S. The Human Rights Report for not actually pulling up the Israeli army enough, and basically calling this hypocrisy. Because here you have the American government that has really stood by Israel's war on Gaza, while a lot of the world is accusing Israel of human rights violations. The US has continued to fund it and to give it weapons to continue this war, in spite of the fact that the United Nations and many members of the United Nations and the Security Council have insisted that there are human rights violations at this point. There seems to be a double standard, plain outright hypocrisy on the part of America, with this particular report. So on one hand, it's pointing out human rights violations in India, and it has basically talked about how it has applied this, and Antony Blinken, who is effectively their foreign minister, they call Secretary of State, has said that no, we've applied the same yardstick for everybody, but obviously they have not. And that is something that has come under question across global media as to how is it that the US sort of places itself in a position of judgment for the rest of the world, where it can talk about human rights violations everywhere else, but it's not talking about what its own government is doing and what its ally, the Israel, continues to do while it continues to fund them. Just a reminder, of course, of our memberships. Do sign on and become a member. We have got 3 tiers, so feel free to pick the one that's most comfortable for you. We're doing a lot more content for our members as well. You'll find that tab under this video, so do that. Please do. Let me see. We look at some of the comments that are coming in. We have Akamba who says, don't let India be another Russia. Smash Review says, notice must have a laughing emoji at the end. Pure drama. Brito Madhavan says, pure drama. The only solution, Jumla Masters, enough is enough. Pradeep says, good evening. What I can understand is that speech is different versions in English and Hindi. Interesting. Okay. But I mean, effectively, different versions I mean, it will still mean the same, right? If you're referring to the Election Commission notice. Mukul says, huge respect. Can you please discuss the pharmaceutical scam? The fact that bills are passed in Parliament. Okay, we'll take that up. Thanks for that suggestion. Check out Sheldy very kindly says, check out the Beetroot News app. That's the app effectively that my team and I work on. We've designed it. It's completely free of cost, very light, so it won't take up space on your phone, where we basically put out the news in the simplest form of fashion. Take a look at it. Let us know what you think. Divyansh says, do we have a record of how many sort of reports have been nullified by the Indian government? Quite a few, actually. Laksh Sharma says, do you think that the incumbent elections would be free and fair? Oh, ये तो बहुत बड़ी सवाल पूछ लिया आपने. P.S. Love your work. Thank you so much. Gaspar Fernandez. ECI so love. So see, first of all, we'll remember how the ECI officers have been appointed, right? There was the Supreme Court had put in a format saying Supreme Court plus Prime Minister plus Leader of Opposition. Chief Justice, Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, which means 3 different views. The government changed the law and said Prime Minister, Leader of Opposition, and one of the Prime Minister's own team members. So that effectively is a 2 versus 3. And then, people were appointed that way to this election commission. One person resigned right before the election. So there were questions as to how the election commission has been appointed at all. And they're effectively government appointees. They were always government appointees. They were always sort of like leaning towards whoever was in power. But this time it's a lot worse than it has been earlier. And I think that it's not, editorializing to say that. It's now sort of widely accepted. Raymond De Silva says, perhaps foreign ministry can counter actual statistics on how the state of human rights has improved. I'm sure they'll cook that up if necessary. But like I said, America not covering itself in glory, so sort of putting itself in a difficult position to be able to, even point out these things. So that's that story that we were talking about. Again, here, the Enforcement Directorate, speaking to Supreme Court on the Kejriwal case, says the arrest of criminal politicians does not affect a free and fair election, in its own opinion. But of course, there could be different opinions of that. How can politicians who are criminals be granted immunity from arrest because they want to campaign for elections? The Enforcement Directorate has asked the top court. The other stories we've sort of already discussed. Just taking you through. This is, of course, the Election Commission notice to the BJP chief. We've already talked about that. That's a large story at the Hindu. Very well written. You should perhaps take a look at that as well. Taking a look at the front page of the TOI right now. This is the story we were talking about just now. The MEA rejecting the US report. There are new stories. Refreshing for your benefit live. There you go. It has become your habit. Kharge writes to the Prime Minister, seeks time to explain Congress's Nyay Patra. So effectively, Kharge at this point saying that you're constantly saying wrong things about us. It's become your habit. Give me some time, I'll explain this to you. Effectively, though, the Congress should take some time to explain this to everybody. The Prime Minister has been speaking recently in Uttar Pradesh, and he effectively took a dig at Rahul Gandhi and Akhilesh Yadav and called them a flop pair and said, "Do ladkon ki jodi." Now, again, I'm not really sure what the reference is to Do Ladkon Ki Jodi, but effectively it's the friendship between 2 boys in Uttar Pradesh and is based on politics of appeasement. This is according to the Times of India there. Both talk about OBC in their speeches, but they want to snatch those rights away from the back door to strengthen their own vote bank. Then he also talks about how the Congress government in Karnataka has overturned all the Muslim castes in Karnataka and made them OBC by stamping a paper and made them owners of. Effectively, he said that the Congress government has given the reservation to Muslims. I have to fact check this though. This is not true as it's been said. What has actually happened is uh, Muslims who would have been Dalits had they not been Muslims have been given reservation within that category. So here again, the Prime Minister is saying that they've been robbed of rights, robbed the rights of the OBCs and given it to the Muslims, and they intend to do the same thing in Uttar Pradesh as well. He's referring specifically to, in Karnataka, and I think that that has been overstated as to Karnataka. According to the Times of India, the Prime Minister has renewed his Mangal Sutra attack. This time he has said that Akhilesh Yadav will take away the Mangal Sutras of our mothers and sisters because they will not be safe, because criminals will snatch them if they stepped out of their houses. On the other hand, he said the Congress prince, referring to Rahul Gandhi, has announced plans to take away the Mangal Sutras and redistribute them. So he's sticking with it, and they're sort of, building a campaign around this. There's also Rajat Singh, who has made a statement. I'm just going to find that for you. He basically, Rajat Singh made a statement. I don't know why my Times of India is not loading, but it'll load in a minute. Rajat Singh, who's the defense minister, made a statement that the Congress wants to introduce reservation based on religion into the armed forces. Now, just pulling that up, I had put it down in a note for you. Let me see, there it is. Yeah, so he had basically talked about, he said the Congress manifesto hints at a religious quota for the armed forces. This is what Rajat Singh had said. And when he was, I think, talking in Vizag, if I'm not Visakhapatnam, there you go. He said basically that the Congress manifesto in the ongoing Lok Sabha polls has suggested attempts to introduce religion-based reservation within the armed forces. And he's basically, suggested that such a move could lead to religious, and he talked about the Sachar Committee report. Now, this is a report, and my team put together a quick fact check for you. This is a report, really, that Justice Rajendra Sachar headed a 7-member committee set up in 2005, was tasked with preparing a comprehensive report regarding social, economic, education status of Muslims in India. Now, the Congress manifesto doesn't refer to this at all. What the Congress manifesto says is that, there are only a couple of references. One, we will enact a law with reference to the Constitution to provide reservation in private education institutions for SC, ST, OBC. It also says we'll pass a law on allocation of resources with the Scheduled Caste Subplan, the Scheduled Tribe Subplan, with an annual budget of monitoring the execution of these plans. So effectively, there's no mention of what the defense minister suggested in the Congress manifesto, but the Congress could perhaps provide its own fact check and clarification on, what exactly it is that the BJP is referring to. So that's that lead story there in the Times of India. Let's take a look at a couple of other things that are happening right now. This is interesting, though. Reliance Jio has effectively started a premium plan. Reliance Cinema, which is the OTT platform, has started a premium plan starting at 29 rupees. Benefits and other details. So basically, it's really taking on Netflix and Amazon Prime, because that is a low price, and that should be sort of interesting. 29 rupees, it will offer an ad-free experience at 4K. We'll have to see what that does to that market and what it does effectively to content creation as well, because if these big guys are not able to recover the money that they invest in content creation, then they won't be able to invest that money. So that's the story I was telling you about, the Prime Minister talking about Akhilesh Yadav and Rahul Gandhi. Taking a look really at what's coming in from across the world. You know that US colleges currently are protesting against the Gaza, the war on Gaza by Israel. Now they've started arresting young people who are, who are protesting. This is according to the BBC. I'm sorry, force of habit. Police have arrested hundreds of protesters across various locations in the US who are protesting against the war in Gaza. About 108 arrests were made at Emerson College in Boston. 93 people have been arrested in the University of Southern California. 34 people have been arrested in Texas, and we know that in Columbia, Yale, and New York University, those arrests have already been taking place. So there's a massive sort of arrests are happening there. Let's see. Who else do we have here? Bansal says unemployed from BJP ruled states migrate to Delhi, major contributors of crime. Somebody who calls himself Your God has said Faye and mispronounced my name is equal to Maulana News. Okay, man, whatever floats your boat. Let me see. Delhi's infested with Keralites. Hey, that's not okay, dude. Some of my best friends are from Kerala, and for that, I'm putting you in a timeout because you don't know how to behave. There you go. App needs fixing. Full story does not appear. Rupa, thank you for that suggestion. We'll take a look at it. Let me see who else we have. We have a couple of more stories that I'd like to take you through. Let me see. So we were talking about this. Harvey Weinstein, as you remember, 2020 rape conviction has been overturned by a New York court on the basis that he did not receive a fair trial. This is massive, guys. The New York Court of Appeals has found that the prosecutors were allowed to call witnesses whose accusations were not part of the trial. And the ruling is said that he has been tried on past behavior and not solely on the crimes that he was charged with. So one rape case has been overturned, but he will remain in prison for a separate conviction for a separate rape. But right now, one case has been overturned. In the meantime, Trump's immunity trial on whether or not he has immunity because of his position is currently at play right now. There are no cameras within the court. So, of course, as that plays out, we'll be able to bring you those updates. So that's everything that's happening right now in terms of news from across the world. I will be back again tomorrow to be able to take you through more of that. But in the meantime, obviously, election continues to sort of grab eyeballs. We have more and more things that are being said. Do you think... Quasar Supernova says, do you think Modi will win? They cannot make 400. So, interestingly, after the first wave, the first phase. So till the first phase of voting, all of the experts that we spoke to, and these conversations are all available on the YouTube page. You can take a look at them. Everybody and all the research, all the polls basically said that there is no doubt that the BJP led by the Prime Minister will win this election. It's beyond a shadow of doubt at this point. I don't think that has changed. The question is, will they make 400 or not? The first phase of voting apparently has raised some questions about voter turnout. On one hand, has 400 par made the BJP seem so confident that its own supporters are saying, hey, you know what? It's really hot outside. It is really hot. There's a massive heat wave going. It's really hot outside. And so if we don't really go, it's okay. He's going to win anyway. He doesn't really need my vote. So that could be happening. It might also be happening to opposition supporters who are saying, it's really hot outside, they're going to lose anyway, so my vote is not going to make a difference. So we don't really know, but it does seem that the BJP seems to have drastically changed gears after that first phase of voting. Second phase of voting is happening tomorrow. And we'll of course, see whether that makes them more confident or more aggressive. But the numbers, according to a lot of people who are looking at the numbers, if you break up the country effectively into chunks, right? So there is the Hindi-speaking sort of landlocked North Indian chunk. States like Gujarat, big, BJP state, won all of the seats that were available in Gujarat. Rajasthan, Haryana won all of the seats that were available. Uttar Pradesh did really well. So there are various states. You have to actually look at those numbers, and you'll see effectively what we're talking about is, can the BJP repeat its performance from last time? Because it can't do better than 100%. So it'll either have to do as well as that, or the other option is might lose a couple of seats. Then in the south, it's not looking. The BJP might do well. By do well means it might become It might increase its seat share, but the possibility of it winning massively in the south or improving its tally from last time is not great. So where will all of these? So last time, remember, it did a little over 300. So where will that extra 100 seats come from? Um, is it going to come from the northeast? A couple of actually, the other story that we must talk about is Surat, right? So in Gujarat, which is already massively BJP, in Surat, where the BJP last time won 70% vote share, it's not really a particular city that it needs to be worried about. Um, the we've had this really unusual situation where the Congress feels that it's not, that the people who signed the nomination have sort of been bought out. The other 8 candidates have completely withdrawn. A couple of independents, a couple of particular parties have withdrawn their candidature. And the BJP seems to have won without a single vote being cast. Now, the Election Commission has not weighed in yet, or if it has, we don't know what their opinion is. But in my opinion, and this is what I'm concerned about, for the people in the city of Surat, will not get to vote. They'll be the only people in the whole country that will not get to vote. And that's an abuse of their fundamental right. They have a right to vote, right, in a democracy. And that needs to draw into question. It doesn't matter if the BJP is going to win again by 75% or 100%, but the people of Surat deserve their right to vote. And I think that someone needs to look into that, ideally the Election Commission. The other interesting story that came up in Tripura, and you'll find it on our app, you'll find it on my Instagram page. In Tripura, the Congress and the CPM, who are in opposition, CPIM, have alleged that they've looked at the official data. They voted in the first phase. The official data says that the voter turnout was more than 100%. So you have X number of voters who are registered, and the actual votes collected is more than X. And they said, there's apparently 100.5% in one place, 100.3% in one place. It's just like, how did this happen? And the Election Commission doesn't really have a convincing answer. So it'll depend, on what exactly happened in that. The people of Surat should demand an opportunity to because not being able to vote at all is kind of unfair. So that's what I have for you guys today. That's all of the news. And the noises you hear in the background is my toddler coming back from his playtime downstairs and the dog greeting him. So I normally work in a very, let's say, active environment. EC notice to Rahul on what ground? I actually said this in the beginning. EC notice to Rahul is on complaints that EC has received from the BJP that Rahul made a statement about the President of India not being invited to the Ram Mandir inauguration because of her community, because she's scheduled tribe, and apparently that is not true. Vineet says, "Hi Faye, I miss your old debates," but they're all available on the internet, though. If that's what you want to look at. All right, so this is where we are. At the end of the day, I think it boils down to what each Indian is going to vote for personally, because polls will say one thing, and people, as we know at this point, might not be fully saying what's on their mind. Also, we must point out that this is a 7-phase election. It's giant. It's going to go on for a really long time. So moods change very drastically. And so I think that we're far from seeing, the worst of it or the last of it. It's going to get in the very least a lot more interesting before this is over. So I'll be here for you every day. I'll read the news for you. You can tell me what you think of the news, and hopefully we'll sort of hold our hands through this very choppy period in in our democratic history. We're going to wrap up there. Thank you so much. Remember, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and please sign up for our membership. You'll really be supporting us. All right, we'll leave you there. Thank you so much, guys. Have a really nice evening.